Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the spiritual world. You see a benevolent God high above, a cunning devil named Satan in the abyss below. You see a judgment day where we all stand before the scales of justice, followed by an eternal heaven or a fiery hell. These images are so familiar that we often assume they are the exclusive, intellectual property of Christianity, right? But what if I told you that about 3,000 years ago, in the sun-drenched highlands of ancient Persia, a man named Zoroaster saw these exact things in a vision? At that time, the Jewish people still believed death was simply the end of the road, and the concept of an evil entity rivaling God was completely foreign. Today, we aren't just talking about history. We are diving into a silent, cultural invasion. We're going to see how Zoroastrianism, a religion that once dominated the thoughts of the entire Middle East, secretly handed over the blueprint of the afterlife to Christianity. Buckle up, because we're about to peel back the dust-covered pages of the mighty Persian Empire. Before we look at the crossover, let's talk about the founder. Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, lived somewhere between the 10th and 6th centuries BCE. In an age where people worshipped hundreds of tribal gods, Zoroaster declared something shocking. There is only one supreme God, Ahura Mazda, the Lord of light and wisdom. But here is the key point that set Zoroastrianism apart: dualism. Zoroaster taught that the universe is a massive battlefield. On one side is Ahura Mazda, and on the other is Angra Mainyu, or Ahriman, the entity of lies and darkness. These two forces don't just get along, they are in a constant tug-of-war within every human thought and action. Let's stop for a second to compare. In the oldest texts of the Hebrew Bible, God, Yahweh, manages everything. He creates both light and darkness, both blessing and calamity. There was no independent evil entity powerful enough to stand toe-to-toe with him. But after encountering Zoroastrianism, the worldview of the Jews, and later Christians, began to shift. They started needing a villain to explain the presence of suffering and sin. And so, the shadow of Angra Mainyu began to merge into the character of Satan we know today. Satan evolved from a submissive angel into a prince of darkness with his own kingdom and army, a carbon copy of the Persian concept. So, how did these two ideas actually meet? It happened thanks to one of the greatest tragedies in Jewish history, the Babylonian Exile in 586 BCE. The Babylonians leveled the temple in Jerusalem and took the Jews away as slaves. In their deepest despair, they felt abandoned by God. But then, in 539 BCE, Cyrus the Great of Persia marched into Babylon like a hero. He didn't just liberate the Jews, he actually funded them to go home and rebuild their temple. To the Jews, Cyrus was a savior. In the Bible, he is the only non-Jew ever called Messiah, the Anointed One. For over 2 centuries after that, the Jews lived under the peaceful rule of the Persian Empire. Imagine Jewish scholars and priests debating with the Persian Magi, the priests of Zoroastrianism, in great libraries. They heard about a war between light and darkness, and about free will, the idea that humans must choose a side. They began to rewrite their own texts. Books written after the exile, like the Book of Daniel or the Book of Enoch, are suddenly filled with hierarchies of angels and spiritual warfare in the heavens. This was the cross-pollination phase. Without the tolerance of Cyrus the Great and the influence of Persian philosophy, the Christianity we see today would likely be a completely different religion, focused more on law than on the mystical, spiritual world. Now let's talk about what everyone cares about. What happens after we die? If you asked an ancient Jew before the Persian era, they'd tell you, "We return to the dust. Our souls sleep in Sheol, a gray, silent place. No rewards, no punishments." But Zoroastrianism told a much more thrilling story. They believe that after your last breath, the soul lingers by the body for 3 days to reflect on its life. On the 4th day, the soul must cross the Chinvat bridge, the bridge of judgment connecting this world to the next. A trial takes place right there. If your good deeds outweigh the bad, the bridge becomes wide and beautiful. A stunning maiden representing your conscience leads you into the house of song, a place of light and music. But if you were a bad person, the bridge rotates, becoming as thin and sharp as a razor blade. You'll slip and fall into a disgusting pit where you must eat foul things and endure torment in eternal darkness. Do you see it? The imagery of a fiery hell or a glorious heaven in works like Dante's Divine Comedy or in modern sermons has deep fingerprints from this Chinvat bridge. Even the concept of purgatory to cleanse the soul mirrors the Zoroastrian concept of hemistagan. They were thousands of years ahead of us in building a moral system based on rewards and punishments in the afterlife. Perhaps the most powerful influence is the Apocalypse script. Zoroastrians believe in a concept called prosecutor, the renovation of the world. They believe time is finite. At the end of days, a savior, the Sashyant, will appear. This figure will cause all the dead to rise. Yes, this is the very origin of the belief in the resurrection of the body. Then, a river of molten metal will pour over the earth. For the righteous, it will feel like warm milk, but for the wicked, it will burn away every sin. Finally, evil is completely destroyed, the world is made perfect, and humans live immortally alongside Ahura Mazda. Open the book of Revelation in the New Testament. You will see images that are startlingly similar. A final battle between Jesus and the beast, the resurrection of the dead, and a new heaven and a new earth where suffering is no more. Even the 3 wise men, the Magi, who appear at the birth of Jesus to worship him, are a huge clue. They were Zoroastrian priests. Their bowing before the baby Jesus was a symbolic way for the Bible authors to say, the ancient wisdom of Persia has found its fulfillment in this new faith. Zoroastrianism was once the largest religion in the world, but after the Islamic conquests, it slowly faded into the shadows. Today, there are only about 200,000 followers left worldwide, mostly in India and Iran. However, they never truly disappeared. Zoroastrianism is like an underground river flowing beneath the major religions. Every time you speak of the battle between good and evil, every time you hope for a better life after death, or every time you believe your small actions can change the destiny of the universe, that is the voice of Zoroaster echoing in your mind. History isn't made of separate straight lines. It's a tightly woven web. Christianity took the seeds from Persia, nurtured them, and spread them across the globe. Understanding Zoroastrianism doesn't make anyone's faith weaker. On the contrary, it shows us the miraculous connection between humans across millennia. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and comment below on which historical plot twist you want me to dissect next. For now, goodbye and see you next time.